All right. Rhea, overpowered by Cronus, bore him splendid children, Hestia, Demeter, and the golden-sandaled Hera, and powerful Hades, who dwells in mansions beneath the earth and has a pitiless heart, and the loud-sounding earth-shaker, and the counselor Zeus, the father of gods and of men, by whose thunder the broad earth is shaken. Great Cronus would swallow these down as each one came from his mother's holy womb to her knees, mindful lest anyone else of sky's illustrious children should have the honor of kingship among the immortals. For he had heard from earth and starry sky that, mighty though he was destined to be overpowered by a child of his, though through the plans of great Zeus. For this reason, then, he held no unseeing watch, but observed closely, and swallowed down his children, and unremitting grief gripped Rhea. But when she was about to bear Zeus, the father of gods and of men, she beseeched her own dear parents, earth and starry sky, to contrive some scheme so that she could bear her dear son without being noticed, and take retribution for the avenging deities of her father and of her children, whom great crooked counsel Cronus had swallowed down. They listened well to their dear daughter and obeyed her, and they revealed to her everything that was fated to come about concerning Cronus the king and his strong-spirited son. They told her to go to Lyctus, to the rich land of Crete, when she was about to bear the youngest of her children, great Zeus, and huge earth received him in broad Crete to nurse him and rear him up. There she came first to Lyctus, carrying him through the swift black night, taking him in her hands, and concealed him in a deep cave, under the hidden places of the holy earth, in the Aegean mountain, abounding with forests. And she wrapped a great stone in swaddling clothes, and put it into the hand of Sky's son, the great ruler, the king of the earlier gods. He seized this with his hands and put it down into his belly, cruel one. Nor did he know in his spirit that in place of the stone his son remained hereafter unconquered and untroubled, who would overpower him with force and his own hands, and would soon drive him out from his honor and be king among the immortals. Swiftly then the king's strength and his splendid limbs grew, and when a year had revolved, great crooked-counseled Cronus, deceived by earth's very clever suggestions, brought his offspring up again, overcome by his son's devices and force. First he vomited up the stone, since he had swallowed it down last of all. Zeus set it fast in the broad path earth in sacred Pytho, down in the valleys of Parnassus, to be a sign thereafter, a marvel for mortal human beings. And he freed from their deadly bonds his father's brothers, Sky's sons, whom the father had bound in his folly. And they repaid him in gratitude for his kind deed, giving him the thunder and the blazing thunderbolt and the lightning, which huge earth had concealed before. Relying on these, he ruled over mortals and immortals. Iapetus married Clymene, Ocean's beautiful ankled daughter, and went up into the same bed with her. She bore him Atlas, a strong-hearted son, and gave birth to the very renowned Menetios, and to Prometheus, forethought, shifty, quick-scheming, and to mistaken-minded Epimetheus, that's afterthought, he who turned out to be an evil from the beginning of men, who lived on bread. For he was the one who first accepted Zeus, fabricated woman, the maiden. Far-seeing Zeus hurled down outrageous Menetius into Erebus, striking him with a smoking thunderbolt because of his wickedness and defiant manhood. Was it defiant or definite? Defiant manhood. And by mighty necessity, Atlas holds up the broad sky with his head, and with his tireless hands standing at the limits of the earth in front of the clear-voiced Hesperides. For this is the portion which the counselor Zeus assigned him. And with painful fetters he bound shifty planning Prometheus with distressful bonds, driving them through the middle of a pillar, and he set upon him a long-winded eagle, which ate his immortal liver. But this grew again on all sides at night, just as much as the long-winged bird would eat during the whole day. It was killed by Heracles. That's not Hercules, that's Heracles. Oh well. The strong son of beautiful ankled Alcmene, who warded off the evil plague from Hypatia's son and released him from distress, not against the will of Olympian Zeus, who ruled on high, so that the glory of Theban-born Heracles would become even greater than before upon the bounteous earth. With this in mind, he honored his eminent son, and although he was angry with Prometheus, he ceased from the anger which had before, because Prometheus had contended in councils with Cronus, his very strong son. For when the gods and mortal men were reaching a settlement in Macon with eager spirit, he divided up a great ox, trying to deceive Zeus's mind, set it before him. For he set down on the skin before him the meat and the innards, rich with fat, hiding them in the ox's stomach, and then set down before him in turn the ox's white bones, arranging them with deceptive craft, hiding them with gleaming fat. Then the father of men and of gods addressed him. Son of Hypatius, eminent among all rulers, my fine fellow, how unfairly you have divided up the portions. So spoke in mockery Zeus, who knows eternal counsels, but crooked-counseled Prometheus addressed him in turn, smiling slightly, and he did not forget his deceptive craft. Zeus, most renowned, greatest of your eternally living gods, choose from these whichever your spirit in your breast bids you. So he spoke, plotting deception, but Zeus, who knows eternal counsels, recognized the deception and did not fail to perceive it. And he saw in the spirit evils for mortal human beings, ones that were going to be fulfilled too. With both hands he grasped the white fat, and he became enraged in his breast, and wrath came upon his spirit when he saw the ox's white bones, the result of the deceptive craft. And ever since then the tribes of human beings upon the earth burn white bones upon smoking altars for the immortals. Greatly angered, the cloud gatherer Zeus addressed him, son of Hypatius, you who know counsels beyond all others, my fine fellow, so you did not forget your deceptive craft after all. So spoke in rage Zeus, who knows eternal counsels, and from then on, constantly mindful of deception. After that, he did not give the strength of tireless fire to the ash trees for the mortal humans, beings who live upon the earth. But the good son of Hypatis fooled him by stealing the far-seen gleam of tireless fire in a hollow fennel stalk. It gnawed deeply at high-thundering Zeus' spirit and enraged his very heart when he saw the far-seen gleam of fire among human beings. Immediately he contrived an evil for human beings in exchange for fire. For the much-renowned lame one forged from earth the semblance of the reverend maiden by the plans of Cronus' son. And the goddess, bright-eyed Athena, girdled and adorned her with silvery clothing, and with her hands she hung a highly wrought veil from her head, a wonder to see, and around her head Pallas Athena placed freshly budding garlands that aroused desire, the flowers of the meadow, and around her head she placed a golden headband, which the much-renowned lame one made himself, working it with his skilled hands to do a favor for Zeus the father. On this were contrived many designs, highly wrought, a wonder to see. All the terrible monsters the land and the sea nourish, he put many of these into it, wondrous, similar to the living animals, endowed with speech, and gracefulness breathed upon them all.